Guys, Kyle Turry here, assistant coach with the Hobart lacrosse team. First off, hope everyone is doing well and staying safe during these tough times. They're obviously unprecedented, but a great opportunity for us to learn, to share ideas, just talk about lacrosse. And thank you to Coach Amati and the Richmond staff for putting this opportunity together. I've already learned a ton through this platform, coaching through cancellation, just learning from ideas from other coaches that we're going to want to put into our practices. So I wanted to share with you guys a couple drills that I do with our goalies before practice, drills that will kind of focus in on some specific fundamentals. So the first drill that I want to share with you guys is what I call our drop squat explosion progression. Now, a lot of our warm-ups start with this or a very similar drill that is going to start with our shooter in tight towards the cage where we're not seeing full speed shots just yet. We don't start with time and room shots out at 14, 15 yards or shots on the run. We want to isolate and put a little emphasis on specific fundamentals first and gradually build up to that. Now, in these drills, we want to make things a little bit more difficult on the goalie so that when he does reach that full speed shot, he's ready to handle it. He's going to trust his reactions and the fundamentals that he builds in these small drills when we start to go live here. So the way this drill is going to be set up, we're going to see the goalie stand straight up and down with his heels together, square to the shooter in the cage. And you can see that the shooter is only about 7 to 8 yards away from the cage to start. Now we can gradually move that back to 14 and 15 yards, getting the hands of the shooter back and putting a little bit more speed on the shot. But right now we're just focused about a quick release from the shooter. The shooter or the coach can either have a whistle, he can yell go, and that is going to trigger the goalie to drop down into his stance and be ready for the shot. So what you'll see on this initial rep, we're ready for the whistle to be blown. The stick is right at the shoulder, and on the whistle, we'll drop right into that stance, get all the weight loaded into our hips, and balance in our feet. As we reset here, we'll see a live rep. And you can see I have to get down and then react right out of that stance to get back. Now you'll see in this next rep, the whistle is blown, and as I'm going down, as the goalie goes down, the release is starting. So I have to get in and right back out. That's going to strengthen your hips. That's going to cause you to be a little bit more explosive out of that lateral movement. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do with this drill is we're going to add a pump fake. This is something that I do a ton with a lot of our drills just to create a little bit of indecision on when the ball is actually going to be released. Now what that does for the goalie is it makes him have to put a huge focus on the head of the stick and the ball only. There's so many things that go on in a 6v6 possession, whether it's a dodge or rollback, passes on the perimeter, where it becomes a little tough for a goalie to really focus in on where exactly the ball is. So right now, I need to be focused solely on the ball, not the coach's elbow, not the coach's front foot, nothing but the ball itself. So now as we watch these reps, let's notice a couple different things. Right? As I drop down into my stance, you're going to see coach either let the ball go or he's going to turn his stick at the last second. That's going to force me to watch the ball a little bit more closely and make a decision. Now when I get down into this drop squat and I go down, we'll freeze it here. We want to make sure a couple things. One, that my knees aren't collapsing in. Another thing is we don't want to fall on our toes, right, and jump out at the ball. Now occasionally you'll take a little hop step and regather your balance, but as long as you can react laterally and move your ball side foot, that's what you're going to want to look for here. You see a couple of these reps. You still want to make sure your ball side foot is moving and the first to go. You can see there on that last one, my left knee, I bite on the fake a little bit. All right, my left knee starts to come in and I save myself at the last second. But what we really want to make sure of is that we're balanced, we're patient, and we're ready to react to either direction. So the last thing that we're going to do out of this drill, guys, is add in a jump. So it's the same exact drill. We're going to initially drop down into that drop squat, but instead of staying in the stance, we're going to explode up as high as we can and then land with our hips loaded back into our stance. This is just going to increase the difficulty of having to load the strength and get out of your stance if the ball is shot right away. So you see on these reps, you can see on this one, Coach Brundage starts the act of shooting as I'm coming down. That's going to put a lot of emphasis on if I have to react to this shot or not. Because you'll see in the next couple reps, he may pump this one. So it may cause me to fall forward. It may cause me to react to the shot. But when this ball is let go right away, I have to get all the way down and then fire out of this stance as quick as possible. This is going to create a lot more explosiveness in your step to the ball every single time the ball is released. Okay, so the next drill that I want to share with you guys is what I call our table drill. Now the setup of this drill for time and room shots is we're going to put a large object about 12 to 13 yards above the cage. Here in the picture you can see that we attached a shower curtain to a cage, but in the past and where the name was taken from, we've taken 3 folding tables, stood them up on their sides and put them all together, creating a large 10-foot by 10-foot structure to block the goalie's view. Basically what we're trying to do here, guys, is expand the blind spot for the goalie. So if you think about a shooter catching the ball and then getting his hands back behind his body, you're going to lose the head of the stick for a little bit. So your focus is probably on that front shoulder, maybe a 1 foot by 1 foot or even a 2 foot by 2 foot radius that you now have to focus on and then find the head of the stick releasing from the shooter. Our job right now is to just expand that blind spot for the goalie, create a larger structure in which his peripheral vision is going to need to locate the head of the stick popping either over the top of the cage or the table or coming from the side here. So you can see that the balls are fed from the wing to the shooter at about 14 or 15 yards. I don't have equipment, so Coach Brundage is obviously taking it a little bit easy on me. But you can see how he's going to stretch the head of the stick to go either around or above this cage. And the next video and angle you'll see, you'll get a really good feel for how little you can see of the shooter. You'll just be able to see the head pop over the top or the side of the cage here. This angle gives us a great look at what the goalie may be able to see. You can barely see the head of the stick to the last second, and it just forces a little bit quicker of a reaction. So the last element of the table drill that I want to share with you guys is now putting shooters on the run. So the setup of the drill is going to be the exact same way. The only change is where the shooter is catching the ball. He still has the option of catching it behind the structure, but he can now catch it in different spots on the field where the goalie may be able to see him initially catch it. With the shooter now having the option to catch the ball, dodge behind the cage, and go to the other side, this is really going to test the footwork and force the goalie to make small, quick adjustments to his feet. As soon as the goalie sees the shooter dodge behind the structure, he must be patient until he sees the shooter split or roll to either side. You're going to see the goalie set his feet when the dodger disappears behind the structure and then quickly have to change his angle, switch his feet at the last second when he sees which side the dodger picks. Now the dodger also has the option to just split behind the cage and shoot it where the goalie cannot see the ball at all. This is just mimicking the original drill where the goalie now has to just react to the head of the stick. You'll notice the setup now. Coach catches it, shoots that right off the side of the cage from behind the structure on the first rep. These next two, he runs past, and you can see the difficulty in the footwork for the goalie. This rep, he goes back to the original drill, just a time and room shot from behind the cage. The next rep, he catches it behind the structure, plants and rolls back, so you can see I have to really quickly adjust my feet and my hips and how square I have to be to the shooter. A really quick adjustment of the feet once I see him dodging from behind that cage.